Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're looking good. I hope you're looking as good as you're feeling and feeling as good as you're looking. All right, I'm going to go over here to, we're going to be talking about the Trump tariffs and the effect on authors and readers. And I'm going to go over here and share to our authors group As You Write, our As You Write community on Facebook, so that they can be seeing this live as well. Booyah. All right, so here we go. I've also got a slide presentation that'll make this a lot easier to look at for you guys. Nope. Present, 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 present. La, 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 la. So yeah, I've got really great information for you guys, and I definitely want to make sure that I convey everything exactly the way I intend to. And we are going to, I'm just giving everybody a moment to kind of pop in, catch up. All right, I'm seeing me, and I am, do I hear me? I hear me. Okay. Great. All right. So, okay, heavens to Betsy. Here we go. Let's get into it. So, thank you for joining me. By the way, I am going to go ahead and pull this up for everyone to see. Okay, so you see me and you see me. We're good to go. All right, the effect of Trump's tariffs on authors and readers. I'm not sure when the tariffs are going to go into effect, but I'm going to help you understand what they are. We're going to talk about the impact financially, what the monetary impact will be on authors and readers, how to, and some strategies that you can use to help with feeling more confident, more in control with these changes that are happening, and so that you don't feel concerned or worried or upset by any of it. If you do feel upset by any of it, that's okay too. That's okay too. This is a forewarning so that you aren't surprised or you're not taken aback by anything, so that you're really clear about what your options are. This is about empowerment. This is about putting you in the driver's seat when it comes to your books and it becomes your authorship. All right, let's go ahead and head into, first off, what's the deal? What's the deal with tariffs? What even is this? So I didn't even know how to spell tariffs. And if you're like me, you feel me on that. Okay, here's what they are. Okay, so products arrive in U.S. ports, right? The U.S. government charges a tax or tariff to the company importing the goods. So that would be the U.S. company. In order for them to get those products, paper, ink, machinery, off the ships, off at the airport, to get them into the hands, the company that bought from the Chinese, the Canadian, the Mexican folks, they're the ones that get taxed. So the American company gets taxed, right? Essentially. So to get them off the ship, they have to pay that tariff. The U.S. company has to pay that tariff to get the products off the ship. To cover the cost, the company raises the prices, passing the expense to the U.S. consumers. Okay, so that's the first piece here. So it's like, what's going on? What's even happening? That's what's happening. So now we've got our understanding of what tariffs are. vary to a very, very small, slight degree. But ultimately, the U.S. company that is importing the goods is the one that is responsible for paying the tariff. And then they pay the tariff, they get that products off the boat, and then they pass that, not savings, on to the consumer. And in this case, the consumer would be us or our readers, the authors or our readers. All right, there we go. If you have a question about that, put it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. If you have any questions or you're replaying this, please ask questions as you go along, because I want to see what questions you have. I may have an answer, I may not. If they're philosophical questions, I probably don't have an answer to that, but I will do my best to help. So cost adjustments by provider. So both KDP, so most of the authors that work with us at As You Wish Publishing work with either KDP, primarily KDP, or KDP and Ingram Spark. They operate on a global scale and might be impacted by the increased cost for paper, printing supplies, or equipment due to those tariffs. They could pass these costs on to the authors specifically by increasing POD, which is print on demand based pricing, or royalty deductions. Very straightforward, I think, right? We are either going to be paying for these tariffs, this Trump tariff, either through our increased print costs or through royalty deductions. It's not fair. I don't like it, but I'm just giving you the facts, ma'am. Potential disruption in global distribution. If tariffs affect the movement of materials or finished products between countries, there could be delays or increased costs for international fulfillment. Okay, so if that it's not just one issue of, okay, well, paper is going to cost more. It could also be how things are moved and shipped and how easily U.S. companies can kind of get them off the boat. Okay. All right. I see somebody watching. I see somebody watching me. Say hi to me. All right. Changes in retail pricing. And also too, I said a lot of stuff at the beginning of this. Come into the first 2 minutes and you'll see some of the beginning information. Changes in retail pricing. So tariffs might lead to higher retail prices for specifically print-on-demand books to maintain profit margins. This could make books less competitive, especially in price-sensitive markets. Okay, so that means that essentially for these, and this specifically is for print books, okay? Basically, it's saying you might have to raise your prices. Okay, localized printing adjustments. KDP and Ingram Spark may adjust their operations to mitigate tariff impacts by increasing reliance on domestic or alternative international suppliers, those places that aren't getting taxed or tariffed. This could affect production speed or quality in the short term. That I think is really key, because I feel like KDP has a really good quality to their books. I feel like Ingram Spark, you know, everybody has their own determining factors, but that quality could decrease as a result of them potentially, we don't know this for sure, going to other types of manufacturing things. Also too, if they decide to rely or go more on the domestic alternative, generally US products can be more expensive. So it's like, which one, you know, do you do? You know, do you pay the tariff and get the stuff off the boat? Or do you potentially pay more because it's a domestic product? And as far as philosophically, what's better, what's worse, I'm not going to even begin to get into any of that stuff, because that's something that's above my pay grade. I just want you to know the effects of what Trump tariffs are going to do, because the U.S. companies are responsible for paying those, not China, Canada, or Mexico. So, you know. Here we go. Potential increase in printing costs, just kind of break it down for you so you understand what you might be looking at. So paper, if paper imports, e.g. from Canada, a major supplier, paper faces tariffs, costs could rise by 5 to 20% depending on tariff rates. Now, that's a big jump. That's a big gap. But I always assume for the worst. And then hope for the best. Right? I think that's, I don't know. I think it's key. Hi, Gail Lawson. Hi, Gail. How you doing? It's good to see you on here. Printing and sales equipment, printing supplies and equipment. For items like ink or printing machinery, tariffs from China that might add another 5 to 15% to operational costs. Again, that's a big gap, but 5% on operational costs is a lot more than one may realize. So it's something to keep in mind as we move ahead here. The impact on print on demand costs. So again, POD means print on demand. I'm going to go over and check our comment section just to see if there's anything going on here. Hey, Todd. Hi, Todd. I see you. All right. So printing costs for authors through KDP or Ingram Spark might rise to 25 cents to $1 per book, depending on the size, page count, and material use. Okay. I think it's a very optimistic view of what the potential is. But I would like to say that would be great. For premium formats, color, interiors, and so on, a higher quality paper, the increase could be on the higher end because of the specialized material. Changes in royalty structures. KDP and Ingram Spark might raise printing costs rather than directly adjust the royalty percentage. So if printing costs rise by 50 cents per book and your book retails for $15 on KDP, royalties could decrease approximately 3 to 5% per book. So that's something to keep in mind. Excuse me, my bullet points are a little bit off here because I did this morning. But I wanted to get this information out there as soon as possible for our authors because I feel like it's so incredibly important for you guys to know the impact of what Trump tariffs will do to you. Okay. On KDP, royalties could decrease. So KDP royalties are already not great, right? You have the print costs that they take out. So if you have a $15, let's do $10 book, the print cost is $3. Now you're looking at the profit of $7. And then they're going to take 40% of that. And then you get the 60% left over, right? So it's actually not great anyway. And then if you take off an additional 3 to 5% per book, that can be a lot, So we've got to price our books accordingly. And we'll go into that in just a moment. Okay. Changes in royalty structure for Ingram Spark. It is very complex. 2 to 4% is what you would be looking at the reduction in, especially if you offer significant wholesale discounts. So that's the other part too. With Ingram Spark, I'm not a fan of Ingram Spark, but I do like that you can get your books in a Barnes & Noble and other independent bookstores across the country that just don't do business with KDP or aren't interested in doing business with Amazon because they do, it is in direct competition with what they do. These, quick books people can buy anytime. It can be very sensitive for independent booksellers that feel like, a big chunk of their income is being taken away by places like Amazon. And it's not even a feeling, it just is. So, then Ingram Spark tends to do this like really hefty return policy where you've got to pay for it. It comes back out of your royalties. I'm not a super fan of it, but I, again, do like that it does support indie bookstores in a different kind of way, a unique way. And I do like knowing that it gets the message out there, but their primary place where they're going to probably make up the difference with the Trump tariff is going to be in probably royalties. Their book costs are already relatively high, in my opinion, versus KDP. So if I was getting print books wholesale, I would get them from KDP because Ingram Spark is more expensive anyway. But as far as distribution and getting royalties from those distributions and making the books returnable, which is a whole other kind of conversation, is something. Let's see. Okay, so again, a further breakdown, this would be like individual books. So let's say a black and white book is your current print cost is at $3.50. That's generally what it is. You might be looking at $4 a copy. Royalty impact would be 15 cents to 50%, 50% less royalty. Color books are already super expensive as it is. So if you have a children's book out there or something like that, 100-page color book, your current print cost would be $8, and then post a Trump tariff might be $8.50 or $9, or a 30 to 70% less royalty. So I know that when you look at something like that, you're like, you know, I mean, I think of it to myself, like I'm like, you know, is that how intense is that? You know, is that really horrible? Well, I'll tell you, when you've already paid to, you know, get your book published, or you've already put in the massive amount of man hours to get your book published, and then you kind of have to now add on another $1 to your retail cost, it can feel like a lot, you know. So I would just, and also too, if you're buying the books wholesale, that wholesale cost, like it said there, is going to go up. So you gotta take that into consideration when you're pricing your books and that kind of stuff. So we've got that, but we've got good news. We've got good news too. This is a good news network. I don't know why the good news is so small. It should be bigger. All right. While costs might rise slightly due to potential tariffs, the increases are expected to be modest, perhaps 25 to $1 per book. The print-on-demand model remains one of the most cost-effective and risk-free ways to get your books into readers' hands. This is the one thing that I really do love about POD, is that you're buying 1 to 10 to 20 books at a time. I would recommend right now, before going into 2025, before these tariffs go into effect, I'd recommend going ahead and getting 20 copies of your book. If you're already a published author out there, just grab 20 copies, use them for maybe some book signings for next year. If you're in a collaboration book and with As You Wish Publishing, we have 22 out there. If you want to buy a few, we can get those in probably relatively quickly. So I can get your link out there, and I will actually put that on here, I think, for the wholesale options. We have our entire library that is out there. So I would recommend, maybe if you do want to get some wholesale copies from being in collaboration books, that you go ahead and grab some. And if you're seeing me out there, say hi to me, hi to me. Okay, so this is all about tariffs. If you're popping in and out here, please go back. Please hit #replay. You're going to want to hear everything that I said beforehand. But we are in the good news section. So gratefully, print on demand, the system that this is actually very effective. A lot better than you buying 2,500 books at a time, and you be required to do that. There are other publishing companies, hybrid publishers, places like that, who require you to buy giant swaths of books. And with As You Wish Publishing, with KDP, with Ingram Spark, you don't have to do that. So that's the good news for sure. All right, so you can, when it comes to pricing your books, what I think is a really good idea would be small incremental retail changes. So you can gradually bring your book up to $1. And it won't really deter readers from buying your print books. You can also, determine for yourself, how much of that you want to take on yourself. So if you just passionate about what you've written and you love your book and you're like, you know what, I'm going to keep my book at the price that it is. I'm going to eat the Trump tariff, essentially, to just make sure that my readers get what they need to get from the content that I'm sharing with them, and that kind of thing. Also, too, when you look at something like a profit margin around, doing signed copies, there's a pretty big, there can be a pretty big profit margin there where you can allow for these kind of eventualities that tend to happen in the publishing world. So it's not just this time, because last year KDP raised all print books almost $1. But luckily with AYW, we didn't have to pass a lot of that along because our pricing structure was a little bit better. It was one, affordable, because of how we have our business structured as it is, because we don't have as much overhead. We don't make our authors pay for big office space for us, or to keep the lights on, or to have, separate internet connections, or do any of that stuff. We don't pass those kinds of expenses on to our authors. So we've been able to find ways to stay consistent with our pricing to the best of our ability. And so when it comes to someone like KDP going, we've got to raise this another $1, even though it stings, it's not going to break us, because we understand those eventualities. And this is not going to break you either. So if you are a self-published author and you're getting your stuff together and trying to figure out what's next, just know, just preemptive planning is going to be really, really helpful. All right. And that's why I'm doing this video. I want you to be prepared. Okay. So now, of course, we have this whole other avenue, which I love, which is going to be your high margin formats. And those high margin formats are going to be ebooks, audiobooks that have no physical production costs and can balance any of the losses from print sales. So you could essentially raise your ebook price, 25 cents, or, 50 cents if you wanted to, and that would offset any of the difficulties from the print copies. I think we're moving to a digital world, and I do think and know that this is going to probably be the wave of the future anyway, so, that's something to take into consideration. But that being said, people become more, you have to become more of a digital marketer instead of a kind of brick and mortar marketer, where you're taking your physical copies to your events and to your things, to your gatherings. I would also recommend things like, doing books as value add-ons instead of just saying, buy my book and it's got to be $20 now. You can say, this is my $20 book that I'm giving to you because you are buying a $600 coaching package with me, right? So you can easily offset the cost for the print production that you may do, and whatever happens with the stuff in the future. So ebooks, audiobooks are here, but the thing is, with physical books, there is something very powerful in it. And so just the holding of the book and the reading of the book. And it's a big thing. Like on Book Talk, the next generation coming up in this world love physical copies of books. They just love them. And so, they're not out of the game, and I wouldn't want them to be. I love print books. Next, leverage bulk sales. Okay, so if authors have an audience that buys in bulk, suggest pre-sales or promotional bundles to generate upfront revenue. So that would be something good if you are in the process of doing your book, is adding a place on your website where people can do pre-orders for your books. And then that way, and they will be more, because you could either do, there's a lot of things you can do there. You can increase the price on Amazon, but if they buy your pre-order, it could be a little bit less. There's lots of potentials there that we can always brainstorm about as well. But if you know that there's going to be a book club that's going to be getting your book, because you have that wholesale capability, you can keep the price static for them, and you can have it a little bit more expensive on Amazon. But if they're buying directly from you, you have that opportunity to give them a little bit of a discount, too. Even though I know that the price is raised on the print book because of the Trump tariff, it still can be offset, which I just really like, because you have the freedom to know what you want to do with this, right? Marion Andrews, I see you. Let's see. Next. Industry fluctuations. This happens. This happens. Shifts in costs happen all the time. Just like I said, this past year, KDP raised their print costs randomly for no real reason, clearly. But publishing remains resilient due to the innovations like print on demand. So you have that opportunity to, before 2025, I would suggest getting a run of your books, maybe 20 copies, maybe 50 copies. I wouldn't do too many. I would just, we don't need a toilet paper run on POD. Okay. we don't need that. It's not going to be as disempowering as that. We have options, and the costs are not going up too much. I think if anything, the royalties already suck with KDP. Be perfectly honest. The royalties pretty much suck with Ingram Spark anyway when people buy online. You getting wholesale copies, you can offset that by increasing, your prices either incrementally or that kind of thing. And I have another suggestion here in just a moment. But it is true, since we don't have to buy 2,500 copies or 10,000 copies of our book at one time, because we're not buying them through some kind of hybrid publisher that's just the worst. You have more flexibility. And that's what I like. This is about empowerment at this point, you guys, seriously. Okay. Like I said, this is an advantage. It eliminates risks like unsold inventory or large upfront costs, making it far less vulnerable to market changes like a Trump tariff. Please go back to the beginning and watch the beginning so that you'll understand what tariffs are, why they affect us, the buyer, the reader, and the author, because it's not a tariff on the country that they're coming from. It is basically a tax that the company that is importing, it has to pay at the docks to get the content off of the ships, to then pass that non-savings onto the consumer. So we are going to have to make that difference up, as the author buying wholesale copies and as a reader buying retail copies. This Trump tax is that's what is happening. Okay. What will happen as promised at the beginning of the year. This is not a scare tactic. I'm not fear mongering. All I'm doing is just delivering the facts of what is, so that you can be prepared, so that you don't get, what is it called? Blindsided by this thing, and you feel comfortable and confident and empowered moving into this. Okay. All right. market as premium content. So there's so many different things that you can do as far as this goes, to get really good at understanding that the value that you're providing your reader can be so much more than the cost of the book, right? We know that. We know that what we're offering and what we're giving, the wisdom that we're sharing, it's valuable, and we want to promote the benefits of what we give. And if you do that, I think highlighting those types of things can be really good. I think if you do daggone it, I can't say words. Not bestseller. Hey, Kathy Stewart, Kathy, you got to sign up for the women's book. So I sent you an email. Anyway, so make sure that you keep promoting what is the benefit of the book so that they understand that the value is there for when they want to buy it. It's more important than focusing on pricing, right? So highlight the benefits like unique insights, beautiful design, or limited editions. Maybe I'll do something like that in the future, or offer something like that with our publishing services. Limited editions are actually very, very cool. But you can also just do signed copies, sell signed copies of your book and wrap them beautifully, and give them to people, and write a little handwritten note in there, and give them a little, a few stickers, or maybe even a little pin that you get or something like that, and make it very special. Because if they're paying $25 or $30 per book, that can be something that's just that little bit of loving, beautiful, amazing awesomeness, that you provide to people, which can be so endearing and wonderful. Okay. Here we go. Expand digital presence, right? So there's something out there called Draft to Digital, and I'm still working on wanting to implement that into our publishing services company with As You Wish. I'm just not quite there yet, and I need to get all the bugs worked out before I offer that. But they have a much more expansive reach than KDP alone, Ingram Spark alone for the digital products. So that might be my next step as we expand this work that we do together. Because right now we have different enhancements and add-ons like KDP, Amazon bestseller, copy editing, author coaching, that kind of thing. So I don't think it would be too hard to add on something like Draft Digital. The only problem with that is that you cannot have your book in KDP Unlimited, which is what gives us that opportunity to do a free promotion that helps us with the Amazon bestseller ranking. We don't have that option. However, you can do the 90 days on KDP Unlimited, take it off of there, then take and put your book onto Draft to Digital. So like I said, as I work through these things, I will definitely pass that information along. Hi, Todd Schaefer is watching. Okay. This is a chance to focus on digital platforms where costs are unaffected by physical production. So tariffs will not affect your digital presence. So that's something that as we move into 2025 and how we want to, I think disseminate is the right word, disseminate our information to people, and how we want our coaching clients and friends and family members and clients and to get information that we want to share. The digital world is going to be a lot more prolific. I think I'm using all the right words today. Right? All right, here we go. Review pricing together. Okay, so if you feel like there's something you're not quite sure and you want to have a chat, I'm happy to assess the current pricing that you have and see if there are any adjustments that need to be made. That need to be made so that you can make sure that that's maintaining your profitability. Profit margin is huge. I remember when I was just learning those two words, profit margin. We were watching some television show, Todd and I was like, oh my gosh, I am undercutting myself. Because the profit margin just isn't there. You know, whether it's time for money or whether it's a product or whether it's a book or whatever. That's why KDP puts, you know, kind of the brakes on letting go down too low, because you know, then they can't print the book, then they don't get any profit. So they can get you all the way down to zero, but they're not going to be a zero. You know, they're going to make their money, you know, so they're not going to let you go down too far below like a print cost. So when you're setting up your retail. So when it comes to that, it's important to know, okay, what can the market bear for a 200-page black and white book about your life, you know, or a book about how to change their lives or how to make a difference in this world or whatever it is that you're working on creating. So let's look and see what your profit margins are for your book, because you may be leaving some money on the table anyway. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. People understand that things cost money, and things that are valuable, like your thoughts and your wisdom and your life of how you have done things that are incredible and amazing. People need to know those things. What you have to say matters. Now, I will say the benefit for print books when it comes to legacy. You know, I like making sure that there is a print option, because we want to put that book in the Library of Congress. We want to know that historically your handprint is somewhere in this world. Because if it's not, it's okay if it's not. I mean, not everybody has to write a book. However, I do feel like having that, it really just keeps coming back to that. Don't die with your music still in you. You have so much music to share and so much information to give, and it really does matter. So let's move through this last piece. All right, increasing. So here I'm going to go back to that. So pricing increase template. So let's say you are going to increase your pricing, and you want to let your readers know that that's going to be happening. And you can also give it a date and that kind of thing if you know that that's probably when you're going to potentially raise your prices. Now, this could also be something you don't mention at all. But I like just knowing that there is a possibility of a preemptive type of thing, just to let people know where you're at. Dear reader or supporter, I want to take a moment to thank you for your incredible support of my work. It truly means the world to me. Writing and sharing my stories with you is my passion, and I'm so grateful to have you as a part of this journey. As you may know, the cost of printing and producing books have risen slightly due to changes in the global market. Now, I would say, you could say Trump tariff. That's the truth. So is global market. That's also the truth. It just depends on, you know, how. It's not really true. It's not really a global market. It is a U.S. Policy that Trump is putting out there. So I don't know if I like the word global market, because I don't think that it's actually accurate. To ensure I can continue delivering high quality books, I've made the difficult decision to adjust the price of book title by a small amount. And I would suggest doing a small amount, 50 cents, $1, just to offset what you're having to pay. Starting at the date, this price will increase from current price to the new price. I've worked hard to keep this change as minimal as possible while continuing to provide you with stories I'm deeply proud of. Thank you for your understanding and for being part of this creative adventure. Your support allows me to keep writing and sharing stories that inspire and connect us. Warm regards, your name. P.S. If you've been thinking about grabbing a copy, you can still get it at the current price until. I have this. I can send this to you if you want to email me. at connect@asyouwishpublishing.com. You can also go to connect@asyouwishpublishing.com. And if you want to talk about your current pricing and what the market can bear, please do. I'm happy to talk to you and connect and find out, how I can help support you, especially during this time where it's a little bit different. A bit different. But this is empowerment, okay? You are empowered in this. All right, so the other place that I would love for you to go is the As You Write community for support. So let's work together to create opportunities for authors to share tips, cross-promote each other's work, or collaborate on bundles. As authors, we're all in this together because we really, 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 really super duper are. So go out to facebook.com/groups/asyouwrite. I'll put these links in the comments. I would like to open this up for questions. If you have any, because I'm going to try and see if I don't see many people coming up and watching, but I know it's a weird time of day too. I'm going to go and look on my other Facebook. I hope this helps people. If you're watching this as a replay, please, please, please say a replay. Tell me if this was helpful for you, because I definitely would like to know. I don't see anything coming up here. I don't see any questions. I think I did a pretty good job of connecting the dots here for myself. I wanted to understand the impact, and that's why I wanted to share this with you guys, because some people think there wouldn't be any. What there wouldn't be an impact. Well, there is an impact, and there is something that's going to be happening. So the Trump tariff is going to tax the U.S. companies to get the products off the boats. That is going to be passed on to the consumer. So that's passed on to the authors buying wholesale print copies, and therefore the readers who are buying from Amazon or buying from anywhere else are going to be subjected to that that tax as well. So if we can find ways, and I've given many in this video, to mitigate some of that, slowly increasing your prices for your print copies, or taking that and saying, how can I find a way to not pass that on to the consumer? How can I find a way that I continue to leave my legacy and not let this thing affect me or affect my my authorship, And I do feel like there are ways for us to work together and make this incredibly effective. And I am always good at spinning. I'm good at finding opportunity where there is none. So I'd love to connect with you on that. Go to connect@asyouwishpublishing.com. I'd love to talk to you if you have any questions about this, or if you just want to brainstorm some ideas about how we can get your book more profitable. Same thing for in the As You Write community. If you're out there, please, 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 let's put our heads together. Maybe I will do a Zoom call with you guys so that we can figure this out, because there is absolutely no reason whatsoever we should be disempowered by this situation at all. There is opportunity here because there's opportunity everywhere, and it will be the benefit for all, not just some. That is my philosophy of life. How can this benefit all, not just some? And how can we work together to do it? Todd says, amazing info. You got that right, Daddy. That was weird. Papa Bear. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and learning about the effect of Trump tariffs on authors and readers. We found out today it's going to be okay. We are going to get through this together. I believe in you. I love you. Thank you for being a part of As You Wish. Thank you for being a part of the As You Write community on Facebook. And I will see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.